Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Nick's vlogs, and we still keep Nick on just some slow basic linear programming because it works for him and that's all he needs. It's simple. Does that mean I won't eventually take him to something like conjugate? No, we will eventually, but we're just continuing to base build. And for those who have followed this and uh, who are aware of Nick's backstory, he's at a point where he's lost 200 plus pounds. He's a marathon runner in his 40s who, late in life, in middle age, realized he needed to do something about his health, and he got up and did it. He got up and did it. But if you also observe Nick, and I think a lot of people who follow Nick have said he's their favorite of my vloggers because he's relatable. He's relatable. He is an athlete because he runs marathons, right? He's an athlete because he runs marathons, but he's not out here chasing elite numbers. I don't have Nick in here deadlifting 500-600 pounds, right? He's not squatting 400 or 500 pounds. Any of this stuff, right? So he's just trying to build a strength base. We run some very basic programming. And, in a lot of ways, to a lot of people, he's a regular guy. Now, I'm going to say Nick's not a regular guy because people don't lose 200 pounds. Average Joe doesn't compete in anything. But here's the thing, they should. Nick represents what I tell you guys out there that really everyone should do. Everyone should be an athlete. Everybody should compete in something. This would resolve a massive chunk of our health problems in America, in the Western world. If everyone just found a sport that they could compete in, I don't care if it's powerlifting, I don't care if it's a local men's basketball league, golf, marathons, ping pong, compete in something. Become an athlete. It will give you a reason to train. It will start to give you a reason to train. It'll give you a reason to start eating better because then you go, well, I need to be a little more competitive at what I'm doing. And then it loses this whole, well, I need to do this to punish myself, because people have this weird ideas. Now it becomes, I need to eat better so I can do better at this thing I compete in. Because once you start competing in something, it starts to matter. You start to want to win. And like I said, it doesn't have to be powerlifting. In Nick's case, it's marathon running. We were talking the other day, he had a problem with some heat exhaustion. He lives in a very, very hot place. And he was out running. And we're like, well, we need to talk more. Let's talk more about your potassium intake, Nick. But that's the other thing. What happens when you start talking about your potassium intake because you're training in the heat for a marathon and you're still at a higher body weight? Well, what does eating more potassium in your diet look like? Well, usually it doesn't just mean adding potassium drinks. It means you're probably eating more fruits, probably eating more lean cuts of meat, more dairy. Where do you think you get our potassium? Vegetables. These are the high potassium foods. Okay. When we start adding these things into our diet starts getting healthier in general just because we're trying to get potassium in. Do you see how this works? These other areas of our life, quality of our life, improve because I got to do this so I can be more competitive and do my sport. Hey, it can start to improve different elements of your diet again. Because let's be honest, Nick eats a pretty good diet, but does he have to eat a perfect diet to lose weight from where he's at? No, because if you're running and lifting weights and you weigh what he weighed, most people could eat a pretty bad diet and lose weight because the energy requirements are so high. But then when we're dealing with stuff like heat waves in the summer, doing what he's trying to do, got to look at these things closer. So his programming is simple. We're going to make some changes this next week, though, finally, again. Training is simple. What do we do on upper days? We do benching, do one-arm dumbbell rows, overhead press, tricep work. Lower body days, we do back squats. We do one heavy set of deadlifts. You can tell they're getting heavy for him now. He's in that hot garage. Okay, we do goblet squats, which have again carried over to his back squat. And one of my other guys, I was giving him goblet squats, and he's like, "Oh wow, these things are really helping me hit death better." I'm like, "Yep, I use these. I got this from Dan John, and I'm a fan of the goblet squat for a lot of my lifters. A lot of my guys do goblets. You don't see me do them often because I don't need them. I've got a belt squat machine, but I like goblet squats, particularly for my guys who struggle with hip mobility on their back squats. It fixes it. Fixes it. People who need extra leg volume, but we can't handle a lot of axial loading, there's a good go-to, because you inherently can't use as much weight, but it still fatigues the legs. My guys with knee tendonitis can potentially fix it. And we come over to the reverse hyper. You guys know how I feel about this. I've made statuses on this. If every gym had a glute ham raise and a reverse hyper, all of our clients would be so much better off. Those are my staples. What are some of the lifts that I have used to build a big deadlift? Everyone's like, "Well, you're good morning." So, well, no, good morning. How do I build the big good mornings? Because I haven't been doing them lately, and I've still got a monstrous deadlift. People can argue that whether it's big or not, but I'm going to break world record this year for my class. I broke the Texas state record for my class 3 times this year. Okay, it's not Larry Wheels level, but for my Asian weight, it is world class level. Right? Context here, people. Those are 2 of my go-tos to build the deadlift. They build the good morning, actually. So he's got a reverse hyper. And you know what? For a guy who's at a heavier body weight, who's marathon running, how much do you think this is keeping him in the game? How injury-free is this device keeping him? Oh, yeah. It's not just for powerlifting. Now, if you're powerlifting and you're over 35 and you don't have a reverse hyper, I don't know what to tell you. Doing it wrong. But you know who's got reverse hypers? My clients who golf in their 40s, serious golf. They all have reverse hypers. I make them buy one. Nick, who's a marathon runner. Okay. These other athletes, they benefit from it massively. They need one. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.